Want to stick with the energy markets now and bring in Scott Bauer, CEO of Prosper Trading Academy. Scott, always good to see you. I'm curious what is keeping oil prices in check here, because you might have even expected them to explode to the upside even more than they did this week. And of course, they pulled back a little bit today, as Jared was just saying. I'm wondering if the prospect for an Iran nuclear deal is the thing that's doing it. What do you think?
Well, it's not just that, but it's also, talk about release of some of the strategic oil reserves. So you definitely have this big push and pull. As Jared alluded to, the overall trend is to the upside, but that upside is being met with some resistance because of the fact that you do have the Iran nuclear deal potentially happening. And again, there's people out there that think there's a real possibility of releasing some of the strategic oil reserves.
Did it help matters when we tapped into those reserves back in November when, Biden, along with some other countries, tried to make this concerted effort to bring gas prices down? I mean, if memory serves me, I feel like it was a nominal impact and it was pretty short-lived.
It is very short-lived, and typically it is more of an emotional or psychological type of relief to the market than it is an actual, relief of getting more gas out there and lowering prices. So, that is the historical trend, though. When that has happened, it is very short-lived, as you just said.
Now, OPEC Plus members meeting next week. Any great expectations there? Do you think what's happening, what's playing out between Russia and Ukraine, going to move those members to change their output quotas at all?
No, there is definitely some pressure from the United States. I don't think that's going to make a difference at all. That meeting is on Wednesday. Their planned output rise of $400,000 a barrel in April seems to still be in place. I don't think there's going to be any increase. If there is an increase, that can definitely help bring down or at least stabilize some of the prices. But it's not likely at this point that they're going to move anything on the needle.
Are you putting out any kind of predictions on oil prices right now? We already saw Brent, crash through $100 a barrel to 105 this week. I think WTI came right up against $100 a barrel. What are you looking for in the short term?
So I've been in the camp and telling my followers, my students, to sell every rally. Now, on the last one, on the big spike up the other day, I got stopped out on my position. That happens. But I think that you have to sell every rally here because given everything happening, given all the considerations here, it would seem to me like oil West Texas should be trading well over $100, and it's not right now.
And what's that going to mean for gas prices? I mean, already in parts of the country, mainly out west, we're seeing gas, top $6 a gallon. Where do you think the national average might find sort of its sweet spot?
Well, unfortunately, we're now, coming into the spring and then the driving season here. So, the national average has been ticking up. And in fact, I think over the last week, it's up maybe 10, 15 cents a gallon. So, here in Chicago where I'm at, I'm paying $4 a gallon, and that's just not even for premium. So it certainly looks to be on the rise, and I would expect that to go even higher moving into the summer months.
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to be seeing that here in parts of New York very, very soon. Want to move away from energy for a minute because you're more than oil. Scott, you can talk to us about other commodities. And we're seeing, wheat, corn, soybeans, all things that are, specialized there in Russia and Ukraine getting hit hard and spiking. Do you see that being a long-term trend, or was that more of a sort of a knee-jerk reaction?
I wouldn't say it's knee-jerk. There's certainly just a massive amount of volatility in the space. And the grains, across the board, the Russia-Ukraine situation, obviously, there's a major disruption to a global source of wheat and corn exports. Russia and Ukraine, both together, they're both major exporters and account for about 30% of the entire global wheat trade. So a prolonged conflict here, that's going to make things much, much worse. Now, you look at the markets today, and the grains across the board are actually down about 3 to 5%. Wheat is actually down about 8%, and I think that's just because of the initial shock, the initial spike, just like we saw the other day what happened with oil, just on the initial invasion here. But the longer this protracts, the longer this plays out, I think the worse it's going to be for people, the higher these prices are going to be.
And then just quickly on precious metals, your thought there. I'm looking at palladium, which had shot higher. I know that Russia is a big exporter of palladium. It goes into everything from cars to, your dental crown. It's off about 5% right now. Are you seeing opportunities there still for investors? What do you like in the precious metal space?
So much like I was talking about selling the rallies with oil, I had been doing the same thing, especially in gold and silver. Because when you think about it, when you break things down fundamentally, every reason in the world to have this risk-off asset, when you're talking about the precious metals, gold should have been trading well over $2,000 in my opinion, given everything going on. And we got that spike, but as Jared mentioned here, boy, oh boy, did this get absolutely met with sellers on massive, massive volume. And history says that when there are geopolitical tensions, and let's hope this is, not going to be long-lived, but when there are geopolitical tensions, rallies typically reverse. So I'm not necessarily a seller down here for gold, for silver, for palladium, for copper, but I am a seller on any rally, and I will continue to do so until these break out to levels that we haven't seen in the last year and a half.
You're a man of conviction. All right, Scott Bauer, CEO of Prosper Trading Academy. Good to see you and enjoy your weekend.